Welcome everyone to a special SMITE Season 2 reveal. We plan to change many things about the game over the course of the year with major content updates, but we'd like to kick off Season 2 with some changes that fall in line with our goals for the season. Joining me today is our master builder and art director on levels and environments, HiRezHolt, and of course, Scott Zier, or HiRezScott, our lead designer on the game. Thanks guys for joining me.
It's great to be here.
Our pleasure.
So first off, I'd like to start off with Season 2 design goals with you, Scott. What are we planning to do when we go into Season 2?
Sure. I think, in Season 1, we were much more focused on individual god balance and on overall class positioning. As we go into Season 2, we want to put a lot more emphasis on really enhancing the strategy around the picks and bans phases, enhancing the counterplay that we have between different team compositions, and really trying to bring a lot more strategic depth into the choices players make.
Sure, I mean, we had one of the recent releases, a Leash, right? She had this very unique mechanic that allowed her to pull gods from the sky. Are we doing more of that in Season 2?
Yeah, there'll definitely be more of that in Season 2, both on new gods that we have planned to release, but also on going back and looking at old gods again. In Season 2, we're going to continue to enhance not only the art of our gods, as we did in Season 1, but also going back and reanalyzing a lot of the different design choices on the gods and kind of enhancing the kits to sort of fit this new direction.
Well, speaking of enhancing, we're also bringing out a brand new Conquest map, right? To you, Holt, what were the design goals here?
Well, for the new Conquest map, we really wanted to focus on increasing immersion and improving navigation. We wanted to take this rich ancient Greek theming that we had in the map and really play it up. While at the same time introduce strong landmarking and make sure every area had its own visually distinct style. We also blew out the sidewalls. We've created these epic vistas, and it really shows how expansive our world is.
Sure, I mean, there's different parts you're going to see it in. Of course, we're going to show a little bit in a second here with this video, but you also get to see, the left side of the map, right side, very different and very immersive, right? So you have this kind of very strong difference in the two sides. So I think the easiest thing for us to do is check out the video itself, but one thing to remember is that this is actually full gameplay. This is not cinematic. There's nothing we've created outside. This is actually taken directly from the game itself. So without further ado, let's check it out. There are a lot of differences that can be seen from this map just through that fly-through. Let's roll it back a minute and just talk about what we're seeing here with the different areas you mentioned earlier.
Sure. Let's start with the bases. We really wanted to bring Mount Olympus, all its grandeur, all its glory, down into the gameplay space. We've taken the walls and we pushed them out past the Phoenixes. And this really gives the player a sense that they're either invading or defending this iconic home of the gods. Contrasting this, we have twin mausoleums that sit at the base of an erupting volcano. This allows us to do some really interesting things in the map. For example, the ash cloud that sits above the map casts a shadow, creating a dynamic shift in lighting from one side to the other. We also have the lava fields. They flow not only visually anchoring the short lane, but actually into the gameplay space itself. And they also fill the fountain, which creates a dynamic backdrop for the player spawns on the chaos side.
I saw that. There was actually lava filling one of the lanes, wasn't there?
Yeah, that's actually one of the things I really love about the new map is that there's a very clear distinction if you're on the Fire Giant or the Gold Fury side, which is important because, and I'm sure a lot of players, there's always that case where you just started running out for the first time, you end up going right when you were supposed to go left. And so we've tried to do little things and subtle things to help cue the players over which side is which, so it's just a little more clear.
Sure. Yeah, that's right. In addition to the bases, we've wanted to really landmark those two side lanes. And so we've taken those vistas. We've got the beachfront on the long side, and we've got the lava fields for the short side. In addition to that, we wanted to make sure that the biggest objectives that we have in the jungle, the Fire Giant and the Gold Fury, really visually anchored their sides of the map. So the Fire Giant, for instance, he's got this burned out temple, and that fire and that column of smoke, you can see it from anywhere in the map. And on the other side, we have the Gold Fury, who has this column with a gold statue on top and golden rays coming down from heaven. Again, visible from anywhere in the map. And so it creates a really good midway point for navigation for the players.
Now, for some of our more astute viewers, it seemed to me like some of the buff camps were moved around in there.
Yeah, so one of the things that we're experimenting with and that our players will see as we go into a public test server this January is some changing of where some of the buff camps are placed.
Awesome.
And also one of the buff camps is going to be changing. It's going to be a little bit different in what it provides, so something new, yeah.
Yeah. In addition to that, we've changed the NPCs for the buff camps. Yes. They now better visually represent the buff that the player gets from them. For example, the speed buff. It's this rogue-like character with quick twin blades versus the mana camp who has mages and the damage buff, which has like these armored brutes ready for battle.
It seemed like the Gold Fury actually had a major facelift in there.
That's right. We've done a visual update for many of the map's major objectives, including brand new animations that give a better idea of the gameplay state as well as the personalities. The Phoenix is a good example of this. Completely reworked as the guardian of the bases. We've also redone the towers, so they have fully animated destruct states now tied to their health. And as you mentioned, the Gold Fury, completely reworked. She better represents now the level of importance and definitely the threat level she gives the players.
When we talk about the big elephant in the room, obviously we're mentioning all the objectives on the map. We have to talk about the Kingpin, the Fire Giant.
Yeah, so there's two really interesting things happening to the Fire Giant in Season 2. The first is that if you look at the encounter area, we've actually opened it up. We've made a lot more space in there. And that's so that team fights have a little bit more room to maneuver and also to downplay some of the area attacks we have coming off of certain gods. But in addition to that, the Fire Giant now has an entirely new set of abilities. And these abilities have been designed to get players to move a little bit more in the encounter, but also to provide opportunities for teams coming to the Fire Giant fight late to be able to abuse it and to try to hold other teams in place for taking a lot of damage from the Fire Giant.
This has huge implications for gameplay.
Yeah, it definitely does. And it's actually paired with another big change we have coming in Season 2, which is that we're changing the way leashing works in the jungle, not just for the Fire Giant, but for actually the entire jungle and all the camps. So what's going to happen now is that when you leash a camp, it no longer becomes invulnerable and immediately heals. It actually heals slowly over time. And this changes a lot about invading and about when you make your decision to start a boss fight. Because if you start it, you can't just back out anymore. You're forced to basically fight or lose it.
So these are all very major gameplay changes. What else are you hiding?
Well, we are adding some cinematic moments to the major objectives in the map.
What?
Yeah, I love these.
Yeah, so the Fire Giant, the Gold Fury, the NPC buff camps, they all have cinematic intros when they spawn into the map. The NPC buffs, for instance, they come into the map in a way that conveys the power that they're going to give the player. And the Gold Fury actually flies through the map and kind of circles her area before coming to roost at her camp. The Fire Giant, though, well, he's special. So he spawns in much later than any other NPC we have, but we wanted to make sure he had a presence from the very beginning of the match. And so he starts the game locked away in this chest, and you can hear him in there just thumping on it and pulling at his chains and stuff. And eventually he breaks free, which leads to the combat. And if the gods can take him out, he shatters, and those pieces stick around. And then for his respawn, he reforms and is ready to join the battle again.
That looks awesome. What a huge change to gameplay, right? I mean, obviously, seeing the objectives respawn and having that tell, knowing that it's coming, this has huge implications for gameplay yet again.
Yeah, this definitely does affect gameplay. On the smaller camps, what this allows is sort of a 1 to 3 second warning of the actual spawn in. So you can kind of prepare that ability to hit them for the first time, which is better than what they do right now, which is they just kind of pop into existence. And certainly on the side of the Fire Giant and Gold Fury, there's now an 8-second tell of the spawn, which isn't enough if you weren't there when it died to know exactly when to rotate around to it, but it is sort of a nice kind of lead into the attack happen once teams are already there kind of rotating around it.
Yeah, sure. It's certainly much less abrupt where it just pops out of nowhere. Very exciting stuff, guys. And I want to thank you for joining me for the Season 2 reveal. If you want to check out the new changes coming into Season 2, we'll be rolling out our PTS or public test servers throughout the course of January. But I do want to remind you that this is not going to be it. We'll be rolling out major content patches through the course of 2015 for Season 2. So there's plenty more to come. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the rest of the SMITE World Championship powered by Curse Voice.